first of all, to seek refuge in the Noble Triple Gem and to observe the 5 precepts. Let's recite the Namaskara 3 times all together with me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. With the permission from the Mahasangha. First of all, I want to thank you for your attitudes, your behavior. I saw that. I was so happy by seeing you. I saw that you wanted or you want to achieve something in your life, more than what you have achieved. I saw something that you didn't waste your teacher's time. Because you received something, you got something from your teacher. And you want to change your life. You want to change your views. You want to change yourself. I think that's what I saw from you. And I saw your kindness, your unity. I think you are blessed. Blessed are the pure in heart. And I'm pretty sure that you will see God one day. You may have heard that before in the Bible, one of the greatest holy books in the universe. I think you are the pure in heart. You have practiced that. Therefore, I have a small request for you. Small request. Is that okay for me to speak to you freely? Can you give me the permission? If I had to think about your pain, or if I have a feeling that I may hurt you, then I can't talk to you freely. Then I can't tell the truth. But if you promise me that you are ready to listen the truth, then I can talk to you freely. Because you all know that our intention is so pure. We really want you to be free from your own slavery. In that case, we need to talk about that. We need to clean your wounds. But you all know that it is very painful. It's very painful, ladies and gentlemen. When we talk about the truth, it's very painful because most of the time we didn't have a chance to see the truth. We didn't have any opportunity to practice the truth. We all had to jump on the bandwagon. We had to go with the flow. You all know that. Otherwise, you will be the weird one in the society. If you practice the truth, if you talk about the truth, you will be the weird one. Therefore, you don't want to be there. Therefore, you always try to jump on the bandwagon and let the society guide you, perhaps to heaven or hell. Perhaps you didn't care about that before, but now you got the right path. I know that. Actually, as I know about you, teacher, and when I saw your good attitudes and good behavior, your kindness, your unity, actually now I don't have anything to say. Because you have been taught everything. I think I'm going to teach your grandmother to suck eggs. Because you all know what I'm going to say. You all know that. But when we are gathered, we should talk about the truth. Therefore, let's talk. Perhaps some of you Christians, great Christians, some of you great Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists. Can I find any human being here? Perhaps I can't. Because you all are, some of you are Buddhist. Some of you are Christians. That's why when you introduce yourself, you said, I'm a Buddhist. But I want you to say that I'm a human being, at least. Because we all are human beings. We don't have to identify with all these things, ladies and gentlemen. We need to practice them. You can say that you are a Christian or you are a Buddhist or you are a Hindu. You can tell that. But you can't become one of them without practicing, without knowing the truth. You only can be identified with all these things. The mind is always identified with all these things, and that's why you feel that you are someone. You can say that I'm Christian, I'm Buddhist. That actually you feel that. I'm a Buddhist. How do you know that? And why are you saying that? I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu. Because your mind is identified with all these things. Then perhaps you can say that I'm a woman. I don't believe that. I'm a man. When you say no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I have seen the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen the truth. That's why I told you, if you give me the permission, I'll tell the truth. I'll discuss the truth. And finally, I will say, I'm sorry. That's all. But before I start the sermon, I always say, I'm sorry. Because perhaps I may hurt you. I don't have any intention to hurt you, but I may hurt you because if I talk about yourself, which means if I talk about the ego, then definitely it will hurt you. Because you may think that I'm talking about you and yourself. No, I'm not talking about you, ladies and gentlemen. The truth is, there is no such thing called you. I think you deserve to understand these things. You deserve to know these things, and you deserve to practice these things. You deserve to practice the truth. That's why I told you, blessed are the pure in heart. That's I told you, you are blessed and highly favored. I can see that. You are highly favored because you got the human life, ladies and gentlemen. You are a human being. You should be so happy about that. You should be so happy because you are a human being. Because you can think, you can understand, you can contemplate, you can reflect. Animals can't do that. But they are also beings. Can you imagine that? They can't think. They only follow nature. They also have a small wisdom in them given by nature. Therefore they can eat. They can find something to eat. Something which is suitable to eat. That's why if you give meat to a cow, it doesn't eat. He can choose. The wisdom which is given by nature. But the cow can't get a view and change anything. But you can. That's why I told you, you are highly favored. You got this human life. If you believe in God, if you believe in karma, if you believe in nature, if you believe in the universe, whatever you believe, you are highly favored. Because of that, you got a human life. You got a human life. This is the rarest thing in the world, ladies and gentlemen. You got one of the rarest things. You became a human being. Now imagine that. When you get this chance, what should you do? Let's talk about that. Before that, I can see you have developed your goodness. That's why you get this chance to listen to sermons. Listen to the truth. Whatever religion you follow, don't ever think that I'm a Buddhist or I'm a Christian, Catholic, whoever, or I'm a Hindu. I follow all those religions, ladies and gentlemen. If you said that you are a Christian, I would say that I have read the Great Bible 4 times in 4 languages. I love that book. I have read Tripitaka. I have read Bhagavad Gita because I wanted to find the truth and I found it. Therefore, if you really believe in, you are a Christian or Hindu or Buddhist, come with your book. I'll show you the path. Whatever the book you want. But you should hunger and thirst for righteousness. That's the only way you will be filled. Righteousness. That means if you really want to know the truth, I will come with the definition of righteousness a little later. I will come with that. The real definition, what I have understood. Perhaps you think that righteousness is being good. We will talk about that later. But however, you have practiced this. You have practiced kindness. Therefore, you got the chance to discuss the truth. You are meritorious. Therefore, you got the chance to listen to the Dhamma. I think this is the 100th sermon. You are so lucky. Because you are still listening to the Dhamma. You are so lucky. Because this is the 100th sermon. That means still you are hungry. Your hunger for righteousness. What is righteousness? How can I achieve it? How can I achieve my salvation? By earning merits? You came to this point. By doing all the merit work, I have seen this merit work. These flowers are made by hand, handmade flowers. Merit work. You should earn merit. You should be meritorious. Otherwise, you can listen to the Dhamma, ladies and gentlemen, but you never see God, which means the truth. You never see the truth. Because to see the truth, you should be meritorious. Don't ever think that without being meritorious, you can understand the Dhamma. You can't realize the Dhamma, but you will listen. When you listen to the Dhamma, you can gather knowledge. You can write down all the facts that I'm going to talk about you after this. You can write them down, but that's not the way. You will understand this one day. To understand that, you need merits. That's why we always recommend you to earn merits as much as you can. And I know that you all are ready to do that, and you have been doing that. You offer dana every day, I think. Every Sunday, you offer pindapata to monks, and you earn merits. And I heard that you are going to do a big project in the monastery. That means you are going to save the world by making English-speaking monks. That will be one of the greatest things you will ever do in your life. Because if you can make many English-speaking monks, they can serve the world. We have only 20 million people in Sri Lanka, but we speak the truth, ladies and gentlemen. We found it. We found means the Buddha gave us, Jesus Christ gave us, Prophet Muhammad gave us, and Bhagavan Krishna. We got this truth from them. We need to spread it. Before you spread that, we need to understand it. If you can understand the truth, you can spread it. Because you need to be the message before you pass the message, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't be the message, no one will get the message from you. Because no one will see. You need to be the message. That's why you respect your teacher. I have seen that. You respect a lot. I think most of you love your teacher as your own son. I can see that. In that case, also you are blessed and meritorious. Because you have identified your teacher and his wisdom and his virtue. If I talk about him, he is the greatest student ever. He is not the greatest teacher. Then who am I? He is the greatest student. I can say that. Only the greatest students can be greatest teachers. Therefore, he is one of the greatest teachers in the world, in the universe, I'm telling you. Because I closely associate him. Therefore, I know the truth. You are so blessed to have him. And He also loves you so much. He always talks about you. And last time He came to me and asked about the project. Guru Hamguru, can we give this project to Rajagirians? I was a bit reluctant because I didn't know about you and I didn't know you. He knows. Because we can't ask anything from you. We are permitted to give, not to receive. We are ready to receive if someone is willing to give something. Therefore, we can't ask for anything. But however, He got the permission, and I think you all will do that. Please, don't do that for us. You should do that for the world. People need the Dhamma, ladies and gentlemen. People need the Dhamma. People need the truth. If they don't understand the truth, they'll be destroyed. They'll be ruined by their own wrong views. Therefore, we need to spread the Dhamma. Again, I'm telling you, we need to spread the Dhamma. The Dhamma means righteousness. That is not a religion. The Dhamma means righteousness. Bhagavan Krishna said, Yada yada hi dharmasya klyanir bhavata bharata. He also talked about dharma. In every religion, we talk about dharma, which means righteousness. The Dhamma, righteousness. That's why I told you, we should understand the real meaning of righteousness. Then one day, if you understand the real meaning of righteousness, you will follow it. You will hunger for it. You will thirst for it. Then one day, you shall be filled. That's what we need from you. First of all, I want you to understand about your life, ladies and gentlemen. What do you feel about your life? Perhaps you can say, no, I'm so happy. I'm the happiest person. Because you want to be happy, ladies and gentlemen. You want to show to the world that you are the happiest person and you are happy. But the truth is, no one is happy in this world. I can prove that. No one is happy in this world. Everybody wants to be happy. Now you can see that I'm going to start talking about the truth. Is that okay? Right. And from time to time, I will talk about your good merit work and all these things to minimize the pain. And the other thing is, you have heard 99 sermons, great sermons. Therefore, I should believe that you can bear, you can tolerate. Yeah? And the other thing is, whatever I tell you, whatever I preach to you, I do that with compassion and loving kindness. But if it hurts, just forget your 100th sermon and start with next. Because he has a soothing way to feed you, but I don't have that. And the other thing is, the English language is my second or third language. I learned English to preach. Otherwise, I didn't want to learn English. In your audience, you have one of my English teachers. If you ask her, she knows that. I didn't want, but she wanted me to learn. my old teachers, English teachers. But I didn't see any, because I went to Nalanda College. And we were Sinhalese and Buddhists. And I came from a village. And I didn't have any purpose. But when I went to London, I saw that I need to learn this. Then I learned a bit. But when I became a monk, when I saw the truth, with that compassion, I started to learn. Therefore, if I make any mistake, any English mistakes, he is my teacher. If he makes any Dhamma mistakes, you can come to me. However, let's talk about the truth. Here, from now, I'm not talking about you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the ego. Ego is not you. You are the purest. I can prove that. You are the purest. You can't commit any sin. But you can see that you have done. You are the purest. You can't be angry. You can't resent. But you do. It happens. That means we need to think about that. If you are the purest thing in the world, in the universe, you can't be angry. But anger is created in your mind. Lust is created in your mind. Well, you can't be lustful. That's my problem. If you are the purest thing in the world, how can you be lustful? How can you be angry? Then we got the truth. Then we found that how the anger is created. Then if you really want to get rid of anger, there is a method. But counting from 1 to 10 and 10 to 1, I don't think so. Anger is created in your mind. Lust is created in your mind. Jealousy is created in your mind. It is created in your mind, ladies and gentlemen. It's a process. It's not fixed. It's a process. If you want, you can keep it. If you don't want, you can remove it. You can cease the process. If you can understand that something is a process, then if you want to keep it, you can keep it. Otherwise, you can cease the process and stop it. And first of all, you should decide that if you don't need anger, let me know. Then we will show you the truth and we will show you everything. Then we will show you that you are the purest. Then actually you will be embarrassed when you see that, because anger can't be created, but it is created. There's a reason for that. And first of all, you should understand that everything happens according to the theory of cause and effect. To understand that, you don't need a religion, ladies and gentlemen. If you try to find a religion to understand the theory of cause and effect, then nature should be your religion. It's a natural phenomenon. Everything happens according to the theory of cause and effect. Go and see. Then you will see that. You will understand that everything happens according to the theory of cause and effect. You have learned this. Therefore, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. You all know this. Therefore, I can start from there. Then everything happens according to the theory of cause and effect. Then everything is a process. The mind is a process. The body is a process. Whatever you do, your actions are processes. Everything is a process. This air conditioner is a process. Your thought. Your thoughts are processes. Everything is a process in this world. If everything is a process, you should be over the moon, because if everything is a process, you can stop whenever you want. Therefore, suffering is a process. If you suffer, that's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a process. If you don't want to suffer, let me know. We will show you how to stop that, how to cease the process. If you know that it is a process, then you know you can stop. You can go to the root. If you can find the root, and you can, if you can seize the root, then you will seize the entire process. That's what the Buddha said. I think he is not a religious leader. He's a philosopher. He's a scientist. He was a scientist. Or he is a scientist, I would say. The Buddha exists still in you. I can see that. But the Mara is also there. Therefore, we can only see the Mara. Not the Devaputta I'm talking about, not the God, or whoever you know. The Mara Devaputta, you may have heard that. I'm not talking about that person. And when I say the Buddha, I'm not talking about the Buddha, which means his human form. I'm talking about the wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about salvation. The Buddha means salvation. You all know that. Every time I had to say that, you all know that, because you all know that. You have heard that, if you can remember, because I also listen to his sermons. You all know that. The Buddha is the salvation. Then if you want to find the salvation, let's try to understand the universe. Try to understand nature. Here we are talking about nature. Prophet Muhammad was talking about nature, ladies and gentlemen, but people can't understand that. If the mind is the purest, ego is the most evil thing in the world, and evil and most foolish thing in the world, I would say. Therefore, you can't be happy, because the ego is created and the mind is overwhelmed by it. The mind is subdued by it. Therefore, you can't feel yourself. Only what you feel is the ego. That's why you're talking about yourself. That's why you have a past. You always talk about your past. That's why you have the present. That's why you have the future. But the mind doesn't have anything. If something happens, according to the theory of cause and effect, it doesn't have a past, ladies and gentlemen. It happens right now. But when I say right now, that's not the present. When you talk about the present, that's past, present, and future. These are only feelings. You feel these things. These are only perceptions, wrong perceptions. When the ego is created in the mind, the ego feels that. That's why no one has to teach you about those three times: the past, the present, and the future. You all believe in that. You all believe it, and you all can feel that. Because when the ego is created, the ego needs a place to stay. The ego creates an environment to live. That environment is time. That's why you always feel time, ladies and gentlemen. But time is an illusion. If you believe in time, please tell me how many minutes are there in the present? If the present exists, how many minutes are there? No, you can't count in minutes? Okay. Let's go for seconds then. How many seconds are there? How many seconds? Can't? Okay. Milliseconds? No? Nanoseconds? 10 to the power minus 6? 0.00006? 1? Nanoseconds? 10 to the power minus 9? Picoseconds? 10 to the power minus 12? No, you can't find. You can't find. Because it's an illusion. It is created in your mind. Created in your mind means when the ego is created. When I say when the ego is created, can you understand that? When the ego is created, let me write it. There are two processes. Actually, before that, I continue the sermon. I'm doing the 100th one, not the first one. Is that okay? That means I believe that you have learned a lot. Is that okay? Therefore, I don't explain each and everything, because all these things have been explained. Because your teacher is there. How can I teach you everything from A to Z? How can I teach in front of him? It will be the greatest insult. Yeah? Therefore, you all know that. You all have learned these things, but I will remind you. The mind is created. When I say the mind is created, you all should understand that. When the mind is created, you all perceive things. The mind is not a machine, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a machine. The mind is a process. That process is created first of all. First of all, Rupa is created. There are 6 types of Rupa, you know that. There are 6 types. Rupa must be created first of all. Here, when I show this pen, now you can see blue color. This blue color must be created in your mind first of all, because this blue color is not in the pen. This is scientifically proven. If you don't know that, you can do your own research. You can do your homework. Blue color is not in this pen. Actually, this world is not colorful, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see this world. This outer world can't be seen because it is made up of 4 basic elements. 4 basic elements can't be seen. If you use electron microscope, you can't see anything colorful. You need light to see colors. Colors are created in your mind. This is the Rupa. Rupa must be created first of all. Then when I show this, then you can see what is created in your mind. You can't see this pen. There is very deep philosophy, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see this pen. What you see is your own mind. Because the blue color is created in your mind. That is Rupa. After that, the process begins. Then Vedana is created. Sanya is created. Sankara is created. Finally, Vijnana is created. This is perception. Then you can see that there is a process from Rupa to perception. Form to perception. First of all, a form should be created. Then the process occurs and perception is created. That's how you perceive something. First of all, something should create, or something should be created in your mind. After that, the mind can perceive it. This process is called the mind. Therefore, you should understand that this is not a machine. This is a process. Actually, if you want to stop this, if you want to cease this process, you can. That's called pass into Parinibbāna. When you pass into Parinibbāna, this process stops. That's why I told you there are 2 processes. One is the process of the mind. The other one is the process of defilement. But this is you. This is you, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I told you, you are the purest thing. This is you. What you do is, you can perceive. That's the only thing you do. You perceive. When you see, you perceive. When you hear, you perceive. When you smell, you perceive. When you touch, you perceive. When you taste, you perceive. That's what you do. That's the only thing happens. That's why I told you that this is you. If this is you, you are the purest one. You are the purest thing in the world. Because this doesn't have any defilement. Can you see suffering here? Can you see vexation here? Can you see wantings here? This is only a process. You can't see anything other than these five. This is you. Therefore, when I talk about you, you should believe that this is you. Now let's talk about the enemy. If this is you, the other one is the enemy. If this is you, you are so happy because you can't see vexation here. You can't see suffering here. You can't see lamentation here. You can't see resentment here. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to have an empty life, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to pour it, or you don't have to fill it all the time. But you try to fill your life because you always feel emptiness. That's why you try to do something all the time. That's why you try to make yourself happy by doing all these things. That's why you watch movies. How many movies have you watched in your life? You still do that. And you need new. You need new songs. You need new movies, new people. Perhaps new wives and husbands. You always need new things because you know that you can't be satisfied with what you have. But you still believe in the world. You still believe that you will get something. You still believe that you can make yourself happy. Therefore, you try to make yourself happy. Then you think that one day you will be happy. Yes, when pigs fly. It never happened. It never happened. Try if you want. This is not the first time you try. You have been trying. You have a sansaric journey, ladies and gentlemen. Countless eons. You have been trying this for countless eons. Still you are trying. Still you are trying because you still believe that you can make yourself happy. I also used to do that. They also used to do that. But finally we all got the truth, understood the truth. Therefore, now we don't want to make ourselves happy because we know that we are happy. But we have an issue. We have a problem. When I talk about problems, you may think that, oh yes, we have problems. Not a problem, but I would say we have a problem, but you might say that, no, but a problem. We have problems. We have many problems. We have problems with our kids, husbands, wives, relatives, mothers, fathers. You know that. You have problems, ladies and gentlemen. You have problems. You have mental problems. When I say mental problems, not diseases I'm talking about. You have mental problems, mental pain, mental agony. You always suffer. You always have something to bite, ladies and gentlemen. You always try to find a bone to bite. That's the only way can you forget your emptiness. That's why you always need something. Think about your life. I'm going to help you. I do this sermon to help you out of pure compassion. Try to understand that, please. I'm going to save you, ladies and gentlemen. I know that you are weary. You are burdened. You should believe that. You are burdened. You can't stop what you do. You have started something. Now you can't stop that. Because you have views in your mind. And you have wantings. When you have wrong views in your mind, desire is created. You have many desires. With those desires, you have many wantings now. Now you can't stop what you do. You can't stop what you have started. Therefore, you have to continue that. But you know that it's so hard. What you do is so hard. What you practice is so hard. You work your fingers to the bone, day in and day out. Can you stop that? Can you come out of your comfort zone? Can you come out of your lifestyle? Even though you want, you can't come out from them, ladies and gentlemen. You have to continue it. Let's assume that tomorrow you are going to die. Let's assume that. I know that you never die. Perhaps that's how some people think. Not you, but you know all these things. That's why you engage with meritorious deeds and you try to find the truth and try to understand the truth. It seems some people don't know about that. But let's assume that. You will die tomorrow. Let's assume that. Tell me, can you stop what you do? You are going to die. Can you stop what you do? Can you leave all your possessions? You can't, ladies and gentlemen. Because you are addicted to this. That is your identification. That is your identity. Your business is your identity. Your job is your identity. Therefore, you can't stop these things. You want to die with your identity. You can't stop these things. But I know that you want to stop these things. Don't you want to be free? Look at us. Fast you say, yes, you don't have any work to do. You just need to eat what we offer and mind your own business, mind your own work. I think we are the poorest here. But we are the most happy people in the world. Because we don't have anything to protect, ladies and gentlemen. You have everything to protect. You have a lot to protect. But we don't have anything to protect. Because we don't have anything. We don't have anything means we don't need anything. We don't want anything. Because we don't have wantings in our life. We can live without wantings. Thanks to the Buddha. Which means the greatest wisdom. You can take everything what we have if you want. This is the life I wanted. I wanted to be happy and I wanted a happy life. But I also thought that I can be happy by earning a lot of money. If I can become a millionaire, I can be happy. I thought that. I listened to the society. I listened to people. And finally, I was deceived. Not intentionally. That's what they knew. Out of compassion, they taught me how to become a happy person. With a good education and with a whole lot of money. This is what I learned. And finally, When I got the Dhamma, I realized that I must help everyone. We all, the Sangha must help everyone. We must help everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, this is you. You don't have any issue. You don't have any mental problems. You don't have any pain, ladies and gentlemen. This is you. I'll show you how the pain is created. I'll show you how suffering is created. I'll show you how vexation is created. It is created, ladies and gentlemen. You should be very happy. It is created. Then we can solve the problem. It is created. It's a process. We will solve the problem. That's why we always ask you to come to us. We will give you rest. Come to us. Come to us means come to the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Let's practice together. Let's practice together. Listening is not enough. By listening, you can gather knowledge. By practicing, you can have wisdom. You can achieve wisdom. Wisdom is necessary, not knowledge. You only need a small amount of knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. One gatha, one stanza is enough for you to understand the Dhamma, or one gatha is enough for you to practice the path. But you need to practice the path. You don't have to memorize all the stanzas. You just need to practice the path. To practice the path, you need to sacrifice your life, which means you need to have time. You always talk about time. Time is money. That's how you think. Time is money. But time is an illusion, ladies and gentlemen. I told you. Time is an illusion. If time is an illusion, actually you sacrifice your time for all this. You sacrifice your time, that means actually you sacrifice your life. That's what you do. You sacrifice your life to achieve your goals and dreams. Because goals and dreams are created, not in here. The mind doesn't need any goal because it happens according to the theory and cause and effect. Therefore, it doesn't have a future. It doesn't have the past. It doesn't have a present, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, it doesn't have any wantings. It doesn't have any goals. But you have goals. But when I say goals and dreams, you may have heard that. You must have a goal. You must have a dream. You should achieve dreams and goals. That's how you can become millionaires. That's how you can become successful people. But again, I'm not talking about you. Is that okay? Because I know that you all are highly successful in this world. That means in your career. You all are highly successful. I respect that. Therefore, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the ego again. Therefore, please always try to understand that I'm talking about the ego, not about you. This is you. I can't say anything about this. If this is the purest one, what can I say? I should worship. That's it. That's the only thing I can do to this. Because this is the Buddha's mind. This is the Arahant's mind. This is the you. This is your mind. You have the Buddha within you. Therefore, you don't have to find the Buddha from anywhere else. That's within you. Happiness is within you. You don't have to find it. But if you think that a human being needs a dream, a goal to be a successful person, I would ask this question. Can you find any successful person in this world? I can prove that no one is successful in this world. People are rich. You can find many rich people in this world. Perhaps full of rich people in this audience. You all are rich, we would say that. You all are well educated. We can find well educated people. We can find very rich people, ladies and gentlemen, but we can't find any successful people. You all know that you are not successful because you are suffering right now. What you have is only your mind and vexation. That's the only thing you have right now. Do you have money with you? Not like 10,000 rupees. That's not what you have. You're talking about millions. All these things are, or all this money is in a bank account. You can't take it with you. When you think about that, you know that you are a rich person. When you think about that, just imagine that. When you think about your kids, your sons and daughters, then you know that you are the mother. Or you are a mother and you are a father. Otherwise, you can't think. When you meet one of your friends, do you feel that you are the mother? Just imagine that. No, you can't. But you think that you are a mother. You think that you are a father. You think that you are a woman. You are a man. But you are the mind, ladies and gentlemen. What is the gender of the mind, ladies and gentlemen? Tell me the gender. Then do I have to write R like this? This is the mind. If you take an animal, this is the mind. If you take a god, this is the mind. If you take a Brahma, this is the mind. If you take the Buddha, this is the mind. If you take you, this is the mind. Therefore, this is not a woman. This is not a man. This is you. This is the perception or consciousness. This is the consciousness, ladies and gentlemen. Consciousness is the same. When I make this sound, you all heard that. This is the consciousness. Can you identify this as a woman? Is this woman? How do I make woman sound? Oh, what is that? Can you perceive this? Can you perceive this? Can you hear this? That means you perceive it. Okay. Now, if you can perceive this, how can it be a woman? But how do you feel that you are a woman? How do you feel that you are a man? There's a reason for that, ladies and gentlemen. There's a reason. Otherwise, you are the consciousness, pure consciousness. But you try to get rid of anger. You go to psychiatrist to get rid of anger, ladies and gentlemen. You do some courses for anger management. You do all these things because you think that you are a human being and you think that you are a woman or man. That's your problem. This is the enemy. This is the only enemy. This is the only competitor you have. Not competitor, actually, enemy. This is the enemy. The enemy. You don't have any other enemies in your life. Your next door neighbor is not your enemy. Your siblings, perhaps, are not your enemies. This is the only enemy, ladies and gentlemen. Because of this, you have other enemies. If you can eradicate this enemy, you won't see any other enemies. Actually, what do you prefer, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want to destroy every bad person in this world? Or try to remove unrighteousness from your mind? That's the easiest one. Otherwise, if you don't like something, you have to change it. If you don't like, that's what you do right now. If you don't like something, you try to change it. If you don't like this color, what should you do? If you have enough money, what should you do? You change it. If you don't like this color, you changed it. You always change. Change, and you are ready to change. Because you can't accept everything. You only accept what you want. That's why you need money. You want to change the world. To change the world, you need money, power, and a good education. You need all these things to change the world. I don't want any of these things. If you can feed me, if you can offer something edible, that's it, not metal, not iron, something edible. If you can feed me by something edible, with something edible, that's enough for me. I don't need money because I don't want to change the world. I'm okay with the world, ladies and gentlemen. When I say I am, actually I'm talking about someone who have understood the Dhamma. I'm not talking about myself. That's why we don't need money. You offer something to us. We are not fussy eaters. When I say that we are not fussy eaters, then who are fussy eaters then? I don't know. Don't make your own comments and put it back to me, okay? Right? We are not fussy eaters. We don't want to change anything. What you offer, we ate. You offer the pindapati. You put curd. You put cheese. You put cake. You put something lumiris. I don't know English words for all these things. And you put everything. Then finally, those gentlemen, they mix it and offer it to us. We ate. Perhaps you say, hey, how can we eat that? But you can eat lump rice. You can eat fried rice. You can eat curd rice. You can eat lemon rice. You can eat all these things, but you can't eat pindapati. That's what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen. You always jump on the bandwagon. You always obey. You always bow down in front of the society because you have something to protect. What is it? You have something great to protect. What is it? The ego, which means the false existence of self. That is the enemy. Because of that, you have ruined your life and you have perhaps some more years to live. Perhaps this is your last day. But I know that you don't want to talk about that. This can be your last day. This can be your last sermon. This can be your last minute. Perhaps when you listen to this sermon, someone may die by sitting next to you. Someone will die. That means this is the last moment. Now imagine this. If you are in your 40s, if you are in your 60s, 70s, what have you done during all those years? You may can say that, oh, I have built this, I have built that. Yes. Let me know when you are in your deathbed. I will come and put everything, what you have earned and what you have built and what you have. Is that okay me to say all these things? Is that okay? Perhaps this will be the last sermon in Rajagiriya. That's why I told you, forget about 100th one. Let's begin with the next one. Is that okay? That's why. This is how I speak. Whatever language I speak, when I speak in Hindi, this is how I speak. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how I speak. I can't change that. If I change that, I will fall asleep here. Then I can take my own time. I can say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, now. I can't do that. When I speak in Sinhalese, English, Hindi, whatever the language, this is how I preach. Therefore, please accept it. I'm not blaming you. I'm not criticizing you. That's why I told you, this is out of pure compassion. I talk to you out of pure compassion. Because I don't need anything from you, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, I don't have any intention to deceive you. Therefore, I can talk to you to the point. If I have to deceive you, if I have something to get from you, then I have to pet you. Then I had to hide the truth. But I love you, ladies and gentlemen. I love you all. I want you to be happy. I want you to choose this path one day, because this is the ultimate path. Whoever you are, if you want to be happy, this is the path. This is the path. This is how you should achieve your salvation. But I know that you all need to achieve your salvation. You are talking about your salvation. You all need to go to heaven. Some of you all need to go to heaven, but you all know that you are not ready to go to heaven, ladies and gentlemen, because if you want to go to heaven, you should be ready to die. Hands up those who are ready to die, because you are talking about going to heaven. I'll tell you the auspicious time. Okay? Do you have something to kill yourself? Are you ready to kill yourself? If you want to go to heaven, ladies and gentlemen, then if you really want to go to heaven, why are you waiting for? You all know that because you need to go to heaven. I'm not criticizing heavens, ladies and gentlemen. The Buddha said about 6 heavens. Jesus Christ said about heavens. Lord Krishna came from heaven. I'm not criticizing anything. I'm talking about your attitudes. Some of your attitudes. You all want to go to heaven. That means you all want to achieve your salvation. But are you ready to achieve your salvation? Oh, are you talking about this? Are you only talking about this? Because you know that you are a very successful person in your career. You know what have you done to be successful. You worked your fingers to the bone. If you are a businessman, you know that. Perhaps you don't have a time for your family because you were so busy. You have been so busy. You have to work. You have to look after your business. That means you have to look after 1,000 families. A business means 1,000 families. Actually, you are doing a great job to the society. That's why I respect you. Whatever the occupation you bear, you practice, you are a gemstone to the society, ladies and gentlemen. To the society. But here, I'm not talking about the society. Here, I'm talking about you. Here, I don't love the society. I only love you. I want you to be happy, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't see any light so far, don't you want to change something and see? You always talk about your salvation, but are you ready to do that? If you are a successful person in your career, you know that how hard you work to achieve that. If you got your PhD, you know how hard you learned to achieve that. You work, ladies and gentlemen, you work for that. But for your salvation, perhaps you come to the sermon. Again, is that okay me to say all these things? Okay for me to say all these things? Okay, that's right. With your permission. That's right, with your permission. In general, I take with the permission from the Mahasangha. That's all. But in this case, with the permission. I had to take the permission from you. Because if we talk about the truth, then I had to take the permission. You should grant it, listen. Can you grant it again? Yeah? Otherwise, a small classroom will be enough for your next sermon. Then you might say that, Guru Handru, you ruined it. But imagine this. We meet today, and I have seen your goodness. Therefore, I had to say these things. You have started this. I want you to finish. I want you to finish this. But the clock is ticking. I want you to finish this. Do you have enough time to finish this? How long do you have to finish your journey? How long do you have to achieve your salvation? Perhaps a minute, perhaps a day, 5 years, 10 years. Is it enough for you to achieve your salvation? How many years do you want to achieve your salvation? That's the problem. That's the problem. That's why we always talk to young people. If you are deceived, then you will choose another path. But if you can see the truth, actually if you want to be happy, this is the path. But if you want to satisfy yourself, or if you want to satisfy the ego, right ego. If you want to satisfy this, then you will choose another path. And you will practice that. Then you will acquire everything what you can. I'll show you the reason you acquire things. Can you distribute, or what do you prefer, ladies and gentlemen? To distribute things or acquire things? What do you prefer? Not now. Not now. In this environment, yes, you want to give everything. I want to give up everything, and I want to practice the path. I will achieve my salvation. Because now the mind is different, ladies and gentlemen. Because you are listening to a sermon. When you are listening to a sermon, your mind becomes pure. Which means the ego, the power of ego decreases. That's why you feel complete, a little complete. When you listen to a sermon, that's why you want to listen to sermons. You want to charge yourself. That's why you come every Sunday and plug into your great master. Then you charge yourself within 2.5 hours. You unplug it, you go home, and you have another 7 days to use that. Then on Sunday or on Saturday, you will feel so empty again. From time to time, you may have listened to recorded sermons. Somehow you want to charge yourself. That's how you run now. Actually, you love to listen to the Dhamma, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you always come. But I want you to do a little bit more than this. That's my request. A little bit more than this. Let's practice this. Let's practice this because we need to fight with this. But you always feed this. When you feed the devil, what will happen? The devil will eat you alive. That's what happened. Your 50 years of your life, your great life, has been eaten by the devil. This is the devil. This is God. This is Buddha. This is Mara. In Hinduism, this is Vasudeva or Ishwar. This is Yaksha. This destroys. This is the happiness. Thus I told you, you had to fight against Mara. You had to fight against the devil. This is the devil, ladies and gentlemen. This has ruined your life. Can you get your 50 years back? Can you get? No, it's gone. Who has taken that? Where did you keep it? Can you find it? 50 years, not a minute. 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. Can you find it? It's gone. It has been taken. You use that time to satisfy this. This happened due to ignorance and attachment. That's enough. I don't have to write all these things. Because I want to talk about this and what this has done to your life, your great life. Have you missed your life? Have you lost your life? In the Bible, Jesus Christ said, the life. This is the life, essentially. This is the life. This is the life that you must achieve. But you can't experience this because each and every time the ego is created. This is the process of defilement. It starts with ignorance and attachment. Ignorance means ignorance about nature. You are well educated, but you don't know anything about nature. When I say that, when you don't know anything about nature, again, this says, who are you to say that? This always stops. This doesn't want to accept it. But you don't know anything about nature, ladies and gentlemen. We only know conventional things, conventional truth. We don't know about absolute truth. But the truth will set you free. Have you found it? The truth, universal truth, or absolute truth. The absolute truth, ladies and gentlemen, if you have found it, then you must be free right now. You must be free. Are you? That means you didn't know about the truth. That is the ignorance. That is ignorance, ladies and gentlemen. Due to ignorance and attachment, the ego is created. Now you can see that when the ego means the false existence. It's a false existence, conceptual existence. You can feel yourself. You can feel, not yourself, actually, you can feel self. You think that you are a being, but you are a mind. You can perceive. Apart from that, you can't do anything. But with that, this process occurs. When this process occurs, you feel existence. Your existence. Okay. When you feel your existence, now you are a being. You are an entity. When you are an entity, you need to protect that entity. You need a past. You need a present. You need a future to maintain an entity. This school is an entity. Therefore, this school has a past. Can we erase this? Can we erase your past? Would you like me to do that? To erase your past? Even though you have bad memories, I think you don't like for me to erase your past because you need your past. Why? We don't need, actually, it's useless anyway because it is the past. But why? Why do you need the past? to make your identity, ladies and gentlemen. To make your identity. Your past creates the identity. That's why the ego wants to remind everything. And remember first and remind everything. That's why you always associate your past. You think that that's your past. Because when the ego is created, the ego acts as an entity. Therefore, if something is an entity, it has all three times and it can make future plans and it can think about the past. When you think about the past, you feel the ego even better, even stronger. That's why we need the history. When we talk about history of Sri Lanka, or history of Sinhalese, history of Tamil, history of whoever, history. When we talk about history, we can feel our existence. That's why we always protect the history. Your family history. When you talk about your family history, you can feel your existence. That's why you always associate the history. History means your past. You don't want to eradicate that. I'm not going to eradicate it. But that's the reason you associate that. Even though it consists of some bitter memories, you need them because that's your identity. When you associate with it, then this will be strengthened. And you will feel yourself even more, even better. This is me. That's why you try to build a career. When you think about your career, you feel yourself. This is me. That's why you want to talk about your career. That's why you want to talk about yourself or what you have done. Because when the ego is created, actually, ladies and gentlemen, this ego is completely empty because it's a thought. It's only a thought, ladies and gentlemen, because it is created in the mind. It is not created in your body. It is not created on this table. It is created in your mind. If something is created in your mind, that is conceptual, at least mental. It's conceptual. This is conceptual self, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the truth. This is the truth. You only perceive things. With that, when this process occurs, you feel that you are an entity. That means you are separated from every other thing. That's why you always feel that you and others, I and others. That's the first thing. When the ego is created, you always feel that I and others. That's why you want to destroy others or help others. Because you feel others. Because the mind wants to separate them. That's why merits and demerits or sins, all of them are created due to the ego. In Buddhism, both of them are called akusala. Merits and sins. They all are akusala. Akusala is not sins, ladies and gentlemen. Akusala is something which is done by the ego. Akusala. Kusala means if you try to eradicate the ego, if you try to seize the process of the ego, that is called kusala. If you try to feed this by doing merits or by doing demerits, that is akusala. That's the difference. People want to go to heaven. Why? When I say heaven, I'm not talking about any specific heaven, ladies and gentlemen. Heaven. Buddhist people want to go to heaven. There are six heavens. Why? Because you need to keep this ego. Not you, actually. The ego wants to have a better life. The ego wants to have a better life because the ego is an entity. Therefore, the ego has a future. That's why you always think about future, and that's why you always create something for future. Perhaps you destroy your present to make a beautiful future. Isn't that the truth? You work your fingers to the bone right now by thinking about your future. In the future, I will be so happy, I will be rich, and I will be sitting on a chair, and I won't work. But right now, I must work. That means this is the only moment you can experience your life, experience happiness, ladies and gentlemen, because future is an illusion. Future is created in your mind. In your mind means when the ego is created, the ego wants to create a future. That's why you always think about your future. But when you think about your future or when you create something in future, but you do all these things in the present. Right now, if I ask you to think about your future, then you will think. You will make something. But can you make something without taking your memories, ladies and gentlemen? Try to build a future without making your memory, without without using your memory. Try to make. Can you? No, you always take your memories. That means the ego uses memories and shuffled it and create the future. That's why the future is not intact. That's how people say future isn't intact because it can change. That's how people think. But the thing is, you create your future, ladies and gentlemen. You create your future. How? You use your past memories and shuffle them like this. Let's assume that you have some past memories. A, B, C, D, E, F. You have your past memories. And when the ego is created, when the ego manifests, the ego needs the past. Because it's an entity, it wants to feel that it's an entity. That's the safest way to keep its existence. Therefore, the ego wants to create the past. Therefore, now the ego tries to take things from the past. But something happened in the past. Therefore, it has a sequence, or it has a way that happened. Therefore, this is the order, because it happened in an order. A, B, C, D, E, and F. This is the order it happened. That means you came from the home. You came from home, and then you get into the car, and you came here, and then you offered Pindapata, and you came here and sit, and you listen to the Dhamma. There is an order. This is the past. But when you use your past, actually you use your memories and you try to connect them. You means, again, the ego. The ego tries to connect these things. But these things, actually, this thing happened individually. This thing happened individually. This thing happened individually. They are separated because this one is a mind. This one is a mind. This one is a mind. You have your memories, ladies and gentlemen. Those memories are created just after the passing away of the mind. A memory is created. I would quantify that. A memory. A memory is created. That memory is A. The second memory is B. This is how it is. Now, if the ego wants to create the past, the ego takes these memories and connect them. But it can't make two pasts. I had to create some words, ladies and gentlemen. Because what is the plural of past? We don't use that. I have many pastors. You don't use that. But in this case, I had to quantify all these things. Two versions. Yeah, we will say that. Here, now, when the teacher is there, it's so easy. He always talks about his teacher. So am I. This is how it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is not regarding the ego. We need to teach from everyone. You need to listen to someone who knows one, even though you know 1,000 things. Because you don't know everything, because you are not the Buddha. You are not perfect. You can't be perfect. We always listen and learn. That's how we achieve things. Anyway, now here, let's go back to the point. You can't create two versions now, because it has an order. It happened according to an order. Therefore, when you create the past, you have only one past. If you think about your past, you have only one past. Let's think about your future. Just after this sermon, what would you do? Tell me, what would you do? Tell me a path or few paths. How many paths can you create? How many paths? One? No. You can create 1,000,000 paths if you want. Let's make few paths, ladies and gentlemen. A, B, C, D, F, E. That's one path. A, B, D, C, F, E. This is another path. Etc., etc., etc. How many? That's why, if you want, you can create a new future right now. After that, if you don't want it, you can create another one. If you don't want that, you can create another one. You can create another one. There are many paths. Because you use your memories. You use your individual memory and connect them. That's what you do. Individual memories. And you connect them. That's why you have many versions of future. Apart from that, you don't have a future, ladies and gentlemen. When you hear that, you may think that, yes, if we continue to listen to you, we won't have a future. Actually, you won't have a future, ladies and gentlemen, unless you create it. You always create that. That's called daydreaming. You do that. Whenever you are free, what you do? What would you do? You take your memories and you think, you make this, okay, I'll go there, after that, there. You create the path. Then suddenly someone comes and says, sir, we can't go there because there's a traffic jam. Okay, then you create another one. But you couldn't create that traffic jam, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because you didn't know that. That wasn't in your memory. Therefore, you couldn't use that. That's how you create your own future, ladies and gentlemen. One of these paths will happen. But if you really want this to happen, the specific one, then what you do? You pray to God. God means, again, not into a religion. Everybody has different gods. Therefore, please don't be offended when I say these things. That's why you need Almighty God. This is called hope. When you create a version of the future that you want, I had emphasized that word, that you want, because you have a wanting. When you have a wanting, you always need to follow that. Because when you have a wanting, I would say, because of here, due to ignorance, attachment is created. Due to attachment, vexation is created. Due to vexation, abhisankara is created. Due to vexation. Now in this case, you can see that attachment is, when attachment is created, the mind is vexed. That means when you have a wanting, the mind is vexed. Now you have only two options. One is, because the mind is vexed. When the mind is vexed, you have two options. Either you need to achieve that, or what do you have? But the most famous one, if you can't achieve anything, committing suicide. That's the thing. Because people believe that when they commit suicide, after committing suicide, they will perhaps go to heaven, or they will be happy, or they will be erased from the universe when they commit suicide. That's how people believe, ladies and gentlemen. But it doesn't matter what you believe. The truth is the truth. That's what happened to young people. They have dreams and goals, and they try to achieve that. When you have a dream, when you have a goal, that means actually you have a wanting. Because of that, your mind is vexed. Now you try to come out of that. You try hard, ladies and gentlemen. You try to come out of that. That's why when you have a goal, you will achieve it somehow. You can see that. Therefore, you think that having a goal is the best thing ever. Therefore, you try to have many goals. You try to accept many views. You read books, you watch movies or documentaries, then finally you try to get views. When you get views, then you will have goals. When you have a goal, it comes with a desire. Perhaps you were told, or you have been told, that have a burning desire. That means burn yourself. It's true, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, you all have a burning desire. Someone can achieve that. Then again, he will have another desire. Then you will achieve that. After that, you will have another desire. Then you will achieve that. Now you are in your 90s. Now you will have another desire. You will, again, a burning desire. Everyone has a burning desire, because that's how you accept. You accept this. Having a desire is the best. That's how you accept this. You have been deceived. Try to understand this. Here, due to ignorance, attachment is created. That means wanting is created. Now you have a wanting. That means you have a desire. You have a wanting. Now you need to achieve that. That's why you work hard to achieve this. That's why I told you, even though you want to leave everything, even though you want to leave your possessions, you are not ready. You can't do that because you are burning, ladies and gentlemen. Even though you want to stop, you can't do that because the mind is vexed. Another thing is, you do all these things not to make yourself happy. Actually, you do all these things because you are vexed. You need to do something to come out of vexation. I'm sorry to say these things. This is the truth part. This is bitter, ladies and gentlemen. This is bitter. But by saying these things, I'm not asking you to leave all your positions behind and do something else. Or I don't ask you to stop having dreams or all these things. I can't tell these things, but when you have a desire, you burn yourself. When you have a wanting, your mind is vexed. When your mind is vexed, you are restless. You need to do something. You try hard to do something. And you try to achieve that. But at the same time, you will get another view. Because you accept views, ladies and gentlemen, because the ego always accepts views, because the ego wants to live. The ego wants knowledge. Therefore, you always accept all the views. You can't measure them. You always accept. Especially, you accept things that you feel superior. When I say that, you are the most beautiful lady in the world, will you accept it or not? You will accept it. But if I say you are the biggest fool in the world, then you will be angry. Why? Why? Because you don't like it. You means again, not you, the ego. Ego doesn't like it because the ego feels so inferior when I call you a fool. But when I call you by using something you feel superior, beautiful, intelligent, wise, virtuous, righteous, you like it because you feel so superior. That's why when you talk to other people, you always be vigilant about those words. You want them to talk to you by using those words. The ego. Perhaps you can pay others. Please use intelligent and beautiful, these words. Please don't use bad words or inferior words. I'll pay you. Actually, you pay extra. You pay extra for that. Can you remember when you go to a shop to buy clothes or something? They ask you to. They use sweet words to your ears. Madam. Perhaps Your Highness. Will you buy two if we use that? Then I can tell them. If you want to sell all your goods, you can say Your Highness. Because the ego wants to feel superior, ladies and gentlemen. That's why when the ego is created, the ego needs possessions. The ego wants to be superior. That's why you all collect things, you all acquire things. Imagine that within the first 20 years in your life, what did you acquire? You acquired knowledge. Why? To acquire more. Acquire, not to share, not to distribute. Acquire. After that, you wanted to acquire more because you want to feel superior. Again, you means the ego. The ego wants to be superior. When you have more, you feel bigger. You feel superior. When you have a good education than others, then you feel superior. When you have again. Do you want me to say sorry again? Oh, please understand. Let's do that way. Please understand. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the life lesson. Oh, not the life, actually. I'm talking about life, and I want you to acquire the life, finally. Jesus Christ once said, if you want to be perfect, sell all your possessions and give to the poor. Then you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me. If you want, go and check. Read the Bible, then you will see that. Are you ready? Then you will have possession. You will have treasure in heaven. But what we have done is we acquired many things in our life because the ego wanted them. Ego wanted them. The ego wasn't satisfied because it wants to be superior. But the mind, it doesn't want anything less than gentlemen. The mind perceives and passes away. That's its job. It's so calm. The rupa is created, a form is created, then Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, and finally Vijnana is created, which means the perception is created. Now the job is done, purpose is served, now it passes away. It passes away. That's the only thing. But when the ego is created, it has to maintain its entity, itself, and it wants to maintain the superiority. Therefore, it wants to acquire things. That's why you don't like your face. Would you? This is not enough. Isn't that the truth? This face is not enough for you. That's why you apply many things. That's why you draw. Actually, you draw an art on your face. You do that. And gentlemen, you don't like your body. That's why you go to the gym. You go to a gym and you try to create a different body. You want to feel superior. To do all these things, you will spend your life. Thus I told you, ladies and gentlemen, no one is successful in this world. No one is successful unless they have seen the truth and achieved the truth, achieved their salvation. If they have achieved their salvation, they are the only successful people in this world. Because now they don't have desires. If they don't have desires, they don't have aversion and delusion. With the Dhamma, with the truth, the illusion, the process of illusion, I would say, the process of illusion is ceased or has been ceased. Now they don't have desire, therefore they don't have aversion. Therefore anger is not created in their mind. Jealousy is not created in their mind. Resentment is not created in their mind. Their mind is free from suffering. They are successful. But The ego wants to be superior, therefore the ego wants to collect more things, gather more things, acquire more things. Then the ego feels that I have more, I am bigger. Because the ego can see others, ladies and gentlemen. Because the ego is the separation. The meaning of that word is actually separation. I have a million things to say, but you will listen to all these things. You listened and you will listen to all these things in the future from your teacher, ladies and gentlemen. Because face is different, voice is different, but wisdom is the same. I can guarantee. Therefore, you don't have to expect this face. And don't think about these faces, ladies and gentlemen. This can be completely different next time. Even though I will come here, this can be completely different if something happened to this face. But wisdom is the same. Therefore, you always expect the wisdom, not the face, not the sound. You need the wisdom to achieve your salvation. Therefore, whoever comes here, if the monk has understood the Dhamma and realized it, he is the best person you to associate with. He is the best person for you to associate with. Therefore, I think we have to stop now. But I don't want to stop. Because you are so meritorious. I can't. Perhaps I can't choose what to say and what not to. I don't know what did I tell you. But however, I have a small request. If you want to go to heaven, please be ready to die. Otherwise, don't expect it. Whatever religion you follow, I don't adhere to any organized religion, ladies and gentlemen. I only follow the philosophy. That's why I told you, if you want to achieve your salvation, and if you believe that you are someone, which means you are a Christian, you are Buddhist, you are Hindu, you are Muslim, whoever, come with your book. We will show you the path. Let's practice. If you can come to the monastery, at least from time to time, you can associate with noble friends. You need that. Because you are a child on this path. You need a hand to hold. You need a voice to guide. Perhaps you have a voice to guide. If you take the guidance, do you have a hand to hold? You need that. We all have many hands to hold. We get the protection from them. You don't have it, ladies and gentlemen. You always associate with worldly people and you have worldly thoughts and you always talk about the world. You always associate the ego. If you associate the ego, that means Mara, you can't see the Buddha. If you want to see the Buddha, you need to associate with the Buddha. When you associate the ego, you always try to acquire things and make yourself bigger, superior. That's what you did, and that's what you will do. If you associate the ego, you associate with the ego. Therefore, my kind request for you is try to associate with noble friends. We have created many programs for you there. And if you can engage with those programs, or at least if you can engage with the monastery, you can do many meritorious deeds. You need them, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I told you. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. To see the truth, you should be meritorious. You should be the pure in heart. To be the pure in heart, you need to associate with the pure in heart. If you associate the evil, you never see God. Try to understand that. Therefore, let's do many meritorious deeds and let's practice the path. We are here to help you. Whenever you are ready, we are here to help you. We have created many monks who have understood the Dhamma, and they can be your teachers. Therefore, this chair won't be empty, but make sure that you will grab a chair all the time. Perhaps you will lose this chair. If you die, your game is over. No one put money into your coffin. You all know that. Everybody will encourage you to do things because they have many advantages. Therefore, they never asked you to attain Nibbāna. Because if you are someone in this society, if you can be someone in this society, most people, or all the people can use you. Therefore, they will encourage you to do all these things. But we ask you to practice the path because we think about you. Because we don't need your possessions. We only need you. That's why we don't ask anything from you. We don't ask for anything, ladies and gentlemen. If you do something willingly, we accept it if we want. That means if we need it, only we need it. Otherwise, we never accept whatever you want to offer. Therefore, let's practice together. Finally, again I had to say sorry if I hurt you. But I didn't have any intention. I talked to you with compassion and loving kindness. I want you to be happy without a smile in your face. Can you do that? You can smile, but can you be happy without a smile? That's the way. If I am a stand-up comedian, I can make you laugh. If laughter or a smile is a sign of happiness, of course you all are happy. But people are laughing or people smile, but their heart is burning. They try to show, because there is a symbol of happiness. What is it? this. When I smile, you think that I'm so happy. Isn't that? Use that and show this to everyone. Then people think that you are happy, but you know the truth. Therefore, let's practice it. One day you will lose your teeth, still you will be happy. Otherwise, one day when you lose your teeth, you can't show the symbol. Because the ego is there. Without your teeth, how can you smile? Therefore, you go to a dentist and create one for you and fix it. Then you show your symbol again. That's good. Smiling is good. Having a smile, wearing a smile on your face is good, ladies and gentlemen. But we can achieve more than that. We don't have to show off. We can actually be happy. This is the path, and we will do it together. We are here for you. We will guide you, and we will help you to achieve your salvation. Then you will be the happiest person ever. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all. Thank you.